Welcome to the lecture series on environmental science and sustainability. Here we discuss threats to biodiversity. Actually, in the previous sessions, we discussed what is biodiversity. Biodiversity means variety and variability of living organisms in a place. Now, there are a lot of threats to these kind of biodiversities. There may be variety. I mean, if you take a banana, there are variety of bananas of the different colors and different names, but all included in the species like banana. Like that, every plant, virus, bacteria, and even human, we have biodiversity. Without biodiversity, the ecosystem will not function. So there are a lot of threats happening to the biodiversity. So what is threats to biodiversity? Biodiversity is a crucial for an ecosystem stability, but it faces numerous threats, particularly in India and all over the world. There are some endangered species, endemic species are at risk due to habitat loss because due to expanding population, we are converting forest land into agricultural like that. So what happens is habitat loss is an important factor, and pollution, climate change. So these factors, particularly the habitat loss, pollution, and climate change, is a major threat to biodiversity. Understanding these threats is an essential for the conservation of biodiversity so that we can maintain a sustainable environment. So, what are the importance of biodiversity? Some importance of biodiversity is the biodiversity supports ecosystem. It supports to maintain the rich cultural heritage and medical advancements, and it is crucial for human survival, identity, and health. So we can classify them into several headings like ecosystem services, cultural significance, medicinal resources. So the biodiversity supports ecosystem functions such as pollination, nutrient cycle, and climate regulations. So these are the services offered by ecosystem. Pollination is one which helps to plant to reproduce themselves, nutrient cycle in the soil, and climate regulations. Significant cultural significance. So the cultural significance is playing an important role where communities rely on biodiversity for cultural identity, traditions, and livelihood. In our Hindu system, we worship trees, we worship snakes, and we worship cow because these are some cultural significance which happens around us. So the medicinal resources, many pharmaceutical industries get their uh, medicinal things from the plants, even animals. So the loss of biodiversity threatens the future discovery of medicines. In a lot of and the allopathy medicine, which where it fails, the Ayurvedic medicine starts. So like that, the Ayurvedic medicine provides its medicinal property from this biodiversity. So major threats to biodiversity. What are the threats? Mainly, we classify the threats something into three, four categories. One is habitat destruction, so pollution, invasive species, and climate change. What is habitat destruction? So due to the increase in population and urbanization, the human need to expand its agricultural land and its settlements. So the deforestation happens. So the deforestation leads to the habitat fragmentations of the animals, and it leads to loss of their habitat and making it difficult to survive, reproduce, and then pollution. Pollution is the thing, chemical, plastics, waste products, contamination, things which we dump into an ecosystem, harming the wildlife and degrade their habitat. This process is a significant threat to both terrestrial and ecosystem biodiversity. And the next one is an invasive species, where in invasive species, a non-native species can outcompete which it prey on and introduce diseases to the native species. So this makes the decline in local biodiversity. And what about the changes in climate change? The climate change, which rise in temperature, melting of this climate, the climate change is an outcome of pollution, where in which the pollution will increase the global temperature and forcing them to adapt, migrate, and go, and sometimes some species can extinct. So, due to this loss of biodiversities and some endangered species exhibits in India, we call them, that is, they are in a danger position. That is, they are few in numbers. If they're not protected, they will be uh, lost. One is a Bengal tiger. So we have widespread Bengal tiger. Now it's an endangered species due to the poaching and habitat loss. Poaching means hunting, illegal hunting. That is, conservation efforts such as habitat protection and anti-poaching measures and wildlife protection acts been made to conserve these. And Indian rhinoceros, that is one-horned rhinoceros, which is mostly populated and found in Kaziranga National Park. The Indian rhinoceros faces a threat from the poaching as its horn and the habitat lost. The horn contains some medicinal properties that people use to hunt it for it. And the snow leopard found in Himalayas due to the habitat loss and retaliatory killing by livestock herders. The need to conservation of this is an important one for the habitat protection. The endemic species means the species which live only in that particular area. It is not found nowhere else around the world, such as Nilgiri tar. The mountain goat is threatened by habitat loss and poaching. And the conservation efforts includes habitat restoration. It is found only in Nilgiri. It is found nowhere else in the world. It is a state animal of Tamil Nadu. And the Western Ghats frog, several species are facing threats from the climate changes and the habitat destructions. Research, conservations, and initiatives is critical for the survival. So, Western Ghats frogs are an important species to be conserved. And Andaman wild pig is found in only in Andaman Island and is threatened by habitat loss and hunting. So this is law, the habitat protection and the awareness program have to be made to conserve these animals. So what are the conservation efforts in India? The conservation efforts, we classify them into protected areas, community engagement, legislation, awareness programs. So legislation is one where the legal framework which concerns the actions, and the protected areas are the areas where we create national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, and safeguard the habitat and endangered species. The community engagement and awareness program are the crucial one. Even we create a protective area, we create legislation. Without the community engagement awareness program, we can't prevent the wildlife. So education, outreach initiatives about the biodiversity issues and community involvement to conserve the forest and sustainable practice are the crucial one in conservation efforts on India. The future direction of conservation, how to we take this future direction of conservation. One is research and monitoring, the other one is sustainable practices and the climate change mitigation and international collaboration. The research and the monitoring, continued research on species population and ecosystem is essential for making information, conservative decisions, and strategies. Sustainable practices, the forest, agriculture, fishing, all sustainable practices should be implemented so that species, community, population can be preserved. We can't fish for the whole year. We can fish for a certain period, and we are the government uh, prohibit the fishing in a certain period where the fishes can reproduce, breed. So those kind of initiatives should be started from the societal community initiatives. The climate change mitigation, we have to stop the changes, abrupt changes happening in climate due to some adaptive strategies, sustainable developments, etc. And the international collaboration regarding this is a crucial factor because whatever they do, they will trade to the international community. They hunt the Bengal tiger, they hunt the rhinoceros, and they take them and they will trade to international trade so that the international partnership crucially helps to stop this illegal trading and prevent biodiversity. So conservation of biodiversity in India can be classified with threats to biodiversity, conservation efforts, and community involvement. Well, my point of view, community involvement is a very an important one. Raising awareness promotes participation in conservation. So, as a student community, we should understand that we have to put hands together to conserve these biodiversities in India. Uh, Hope you understood that what is a what is biodiversity and what are threats faced by biodiversity and what are the importance of existence of several biodiversity and major threats and what is an endangered species and what is an endemic species and what are the efforts taken in India and what should be the future direction that we have to travel to prevent the depletion of biodiversity. Thank you. We'll meet in another class.